Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. I'm here today, George, with Cal and Gaz. Hi, guys.
Hey, dude. How's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you. It's weird, man. For the first time ever, we're recording an episode like in daylight. It feels kind of strange. Usually we go like goblin mode in the dark and talk about baseball for like an hour. But it's like it's fucking 10:45 in the morning. We got the whole day ahead of us. The Giants won last night. Things are bright. Everything's great again until tonight when we lose again and everything sucks.
Yeah, similar feeling. Apart from the Cubs have just won their second 10-game win streak of the season, and we're only a month and a half into the season. So life is pretty good on the north side of Chicago, and by osmosis in my head as well.
Yeah, there's an air of optimism that is not matched by my baseball team, but I'm happy for you. That's great. That's great. It must be nice. I think we're going. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I cannot relate. Unfortunately, it's been a struggle. I believe we are heading first of all into Boo's hot takes. Is Boo with you in the room today or no?
No, Boo had a late night last night. She only got to bed at about 8:00, and she's still sleeping now. So yeah, Boo is not in the room with me, but she did provide me with the hot takes before she went to bed. Not sure how I think she got up at like 4 a.m, got on the Insta and then typed them up for me. So very, very nice of her. But yeah, welcome to Boo's Hot Takes. If you've not heard this segment before, it's pretty straightforward. We just make it more complicated than it needs to be. Boo has asked our Instagram followers for hot takes. We're going to discuss them. We use the Nando's Spice Scale to decide how hot a hot take is. If you agree with a take, it's pretty mild. The chicken's not out the freezer. All these other stories that we come up with. Cal's pretty good at them. When we disagree with a hot take, we go all the way up to very hot, and if we think it's outrageous, then it's off the scale Perry Tamer. And because I've already discussed the Cubs a little bit, we're going to start with the Cubs hot take. I can promise this one did not come from me. It came from the Instagram account. It's called Ben's Delivery Service. He's also a Cubs fan. His hot take was the Cubs are winning it all. I feel like I shouldn't weigh in on this one just out of bias. So, George, you can kick this one off if you want.
You know what? I'll go medium. I think I have more faith in the Cubs just from what we've seen so far this year than I have in years past, even when they've had a hot start or looked good. I feel like it's a little bit more real maybe this year, like not just because of the winning streaks, but just kind of the way that players are playing, like the way the whole team is playing. Like you look at the stats and guys like Nico Horner and Peter Armstrong, who's looked a lot better recently in the last kind of couple of weeks, and Bregman and Happ, like there's not one player who's like, okay, they're dragging them to this place. It feels like a really solid performance by the team across the board, and that feels sustainable to me. So yeah, I believe. I'm a believer.
Oh, I love that. I'm a believer too. Cal, here we go.
Little spicy, I reckon. I think it's a little too early to be thinking about winning it all. I think that come the trade deadline, if the Cubs are still winning, I think it could be interesting. I think that they're probably a couple of pitchers and maybe a bat away from being scary dangerous. Even though they've just won their second 10-game winning streak, they are already scary dangerous. But I don't know. I think there's a couple more players that would need to be added for me to be like, all right, shit, the Cubs are terrifying. I don't want to play them ever. Even though they're playing very well at the moment, I just think that adding quality will just kind of prolong it. Whereas at the moment, I think it's just the most purple of purple patches. So a little spicy for me, but I would like to see the Cubs go all the way.
Yeah, because then that would mean that the Dodgers don't go all the way, which is ultimately what we're all really supporting for here.
Really?
There was a rumor, or not a rumor, there was a report yesterday that the Cubs are one of the teams speaking to the Mets about Freddie Peralta, potentially, if the Mets can't get out of this funk, trade him by the deadline. Which, I think, like you said, Cal, they definitely need at least one more starting pitcher to really feel good about them. But that could be an option.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of talk between Giants fans about is the kind thing to do to trade Logan Webb away so that he can play meaningful baseball in October. He's had one playoff series. He's given everything to the team. The team can't give it back. The Cubs would be a good place for Logan Webb to go, I reckon, if he was to go. And I think it would transform the team from real good to absolutely elite.
I wouldn't say no to either of those guys, by the way.
Have both.
I would bite your arm off for Logan Webb. Freddie Peralta, I'd probably bite your hand off. Obviously, a little bit slightly different. He's only there for the year anyway, realistically. So,
he's a rental.
Do you think the Cubs are going to go all the way this year?
I've got this as a hot take, to be honest. I'm agreeing with Cal. I believe we're a good team, but as you said, we are probably two decent starting pitchers away. Shota Benaga looks like he has it, and then after that, I'm like, I don't want to put a 2026 Jameson Tyone in a fucking wild card round. Like, he was great last year in the playoffs, but he's been kind of up and down. Edward Cabrera's not really hit it like I thought we would. And we need two quality starting pitchers. I mean, Matthew Boyd's got injured again playing with his kids, so he's out for a month now with a torn meniscus.
Hell yeah.
And I love Javier Assad. He's my favorite player, but I don't want him starting a playoff game at Dodger Stadium. just a recipe for a 10-run first inning. So yeah, I think we definitely need to get an ace, and then if we can get someone to kind of, be that 3-4 starter, maybe give him Anaga a little bit of rest, then we might be looking good. But I've got it as spicy. I think we're definitely. I'm a lot more confident we'll get to the playoffs now, especially after the second 10-game win streak. But there'll be a patch where we go 5 winless and that sort of stuff. It's going to happen. It's baseball. So I'm just waiting for the hype to die down a little bit. We're going to go from one NL Central club to another NL Central club. The hot take is from Casserole 558. The hot take is, I love Boo! ! Because you should. Also, Ellie is overrated. Now, Ellie, she's referring to, is Ellie De La Cruz, star shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds. Quick story on Ellie De La Cruz. The Reds came to Wrigley Field this week. Got swept in a 4-game series like all quality teams do. Phillies and the Reds. And one of the walk-offs was due to a bouncer that Ellie De La Cruz just let go under his glove, and it led to a walk-off win. It was really, really nice of him. So, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. I was thinking maybe he could get, because it was like the ghost runner on second. So I was thinking maybe he was probably thinking I could get the lead runner, but instead just let the ball roll into the outfield, and the Cubs walked off the Reds. One of the 3 consecutive walk-off wins we had against them this last week. Yeah, I'll kick this one off by saying Ellie is overrated. I think that's quite mild. I'm tempted to go lemon and herb because I think he is. I think he came in with all this hype, and the long-running joke on this podcast is he's a 5-tool player, but only uses 2 of them at once. I'd argue he only uses 1 of them at once. Are we going to get to the point where we, similar to O'Neal Cruz for the Pirates, where we go, he's too big to play shortstop, he should be in the outfield? He's got a good bat. I don't know. I'm lemon and herb. I do think he is overrated. I agree with the take, and obviously I love Boo, so we'll whack that on top. Yeah, that's what I've got.
I'll go next. This is barely even salt and pepper. Like they've not even really introduced the concept of seasoning. That I think Ellie De La Cruz is the most overrated player in all of baseball at the moment. He led the league in errors last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again this year. He's a phenomenal athlete. Don't get me wrong. He's impressive, but he's shit at his job ultimately. But MLB Twitter will have you believe that he's the star of the league, and for that reason, get in the fucking bin. I just don't think he's that good.
I'm so on the other end of the spectrum. I think this is hot to maybe extra hot. He's been like, okay, I get the fielding. Yeah, he's definitely prone to errors, but he's been so good with the bat this year. Like, I think he has 10 home runs. Like, his average is like 270. He's got a 133 OPS plus. Like, I think this is his best offensive performance so far this season. Obviously, it's early days, but that like I've ever seen. It feels like he's put it together. Like, I haven't watched a lot of Reds baseball, but I feel like when I have, he is putting like really good at bats together. I've got his baseball reference open. He's got over half of his entire WAR last season already, and he played all 162 games last year. So if he can stay healthy, he could have, close to like a 7-8 WAR season, even without elite defense. Like, you're probably right that at some point they should move him either to third or to the outfield or something. But yeah, no, I think he's been really good at the plate this year. So I'll go extra hot just to be contrarian.
How many strikeouts has he got? Because it feels like every time I see a video of Ellie De La Cruz, it's someone striking him out.
Quite a lot, actually. He's got 49 strikeouts.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's all right. He's clearly good enough, but like, I don't know, that having him as like one of the faces of the league feels like a stretch. He's just not that guy. I don't think. I think that's what makes him overrated to me.
I think I agree with Cal. He was brought in as like a Bobby Witt or an Aaron Judge style of like presenting, and it's like that. When we say he's overrated, I guess we're talking about MLB forced him down your throats, right? Like, he was on the MLB The Show cover with was he on MLB The Show cover? I might be wrong. No, I don't think he was. He was. Yeah. So there's that element to it, and then it's like I look at how much marketing and hype they gave him, second to obviously Ohtani, and then I'm like, would I have Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt over him? Yes, 100%. I'd rather have one of those two players in my team. But you are right. He is turning it on a little bit this year. But this is kind of what you would have expected. So I guess I'm just looking at the level of hype that he was given versus the performance, and maybe he does start to live up to it. But 44 strikeouts against 17 walks is it's not great.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I guess maybe my feelings is like, because of the circles I'm running in, I guess with you guys and on Twitter, all I hear is that Ellie has like underperformed. And then I went to look at the stats when you sent the hot takes, and I was like, actually, he's putting together a really good year at the plate, apart from, striking out 3 times as much as he's walked. But, other than that, he has looked pretty good. I think as well, maybe just because of the age, like 24 years old, it could be that he just kind of finds it at some point. Like, this is the age where some players just find it and they get better from there. So yeah, I'll keep the faith for now.
Yeah, it seems like that we're just a podcast that hates on Ellie De La Cruz, which is fair. Yeah, we do.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, someone's got to. George is fighting a losing battle, it feels like, with this podcast sometimes when it comes to Ellie. Our third and final hot take comes from the Atlantic podcast. I'll give them a little shout out because I found these guys on Instagram the other day. There's an American and a British dude, and they basically take turns going to visit stadiums in the other person's country. So it's quite fun, like a football fan over here going to see an American football stadium, like in college American football. And it's like 100,000 people for a university playing, which is just wild. So give them a little shout out. They didn't even ask for it either. It's just a little bonus one. Their hot take is Jared Jones is the best trade deadline acquisition the Pirates can make. So a little bit of context: the Pirates have obviously got off to a decent start this year. Obviously, Paul Skeens is, after that first nightmare start against the Mets, he's kind of locked it down. Jared Jones was kind of the Paul Skeens before Paul Skeens. Not to the same degree, like Paul Skeens is a much better pitcher, but Jared Jones was performing really, really well in 2023. It was like, he's the first of the wave of these pitchers that are coming through. But he's been out injured for a while. I think he had Tommy John last year. Before that, he had another injury. But he's started to rehab now. I believe he's in AAA or AA, one of them. So I think the point here is the best thing that the Pirates can do is get Jared Jones back, as opposed to going out and getting anyone else, realistically. So, George, where would you put that on the old spice scale?
I think I'd put that at hot or extra hot. I think the Pirates have had a really good start, but I don't think like a promising starting pitcher is going to be like the thing to make the difference. And I think like the story over the winter with the Pirates was like, oh, they're trying. That they've made an offer for Carl Schwarber, they made offers for all these guys and didn't win them. And the message was like, okay, at least the front office is trying. But I think if they got to the deadline and the front office and ownership was like, well, we don't need to make these moves because like, guess who's coming back is Jared Jones. Like, I think the fans would probably be a bit upset. I think they're further away than just him. And he did look really good. Like his ERA wasn't great, but like the numbers apart from that were really good. He looked really promising. So I think he'll be a good addition, but I think they're a lot further away than just him. So I think they'd need a bit more than that.
Nice. Cal, what have you got?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know much about Jared Jones, but if he's decent and he's coming back and he can be decent again, fantastic. Obviously, that helps. I think when I think of the Pirates, I think like there's a good team in there somewhere, but I don't think O'Neal Cruz is on it. I think the best thing the Pirates can do is trading away O'Neal Cruz. I think they've got some cool, interesting younger players. I'd like to see them just kind of keep developing those guys rather than trying to trade them away and bring in more experience. I'd rather them kind of just keep building rather than trying to take a step back to go 3 steps forward. So I don't know. I think, yeah, it'll help, of course, but I don't think it's the best thing they could do, but it's probably not the worst thing they could do either. So it's fine. Stay in the middle.
I think I'm going to go Perry Tamer actually on this one. Because as good, I've been a Jared Jones believer ever since I saw him in that first year, and it was a shame he got injured because him and Skeens together could have been really fun for the Pirates. And I'm not going to take that away. Like he could come back and be as good, and it would be great. But for me, the Pirates are just missing that real marquee signing, right? If they'd have gone out and got the Carl Schwarbers of the world in the offseason, great.
Crazy. Would have been crazy.
That completely changed that team. But the fact is, you look at their lineup and it's how sustainable are these guys? Like Marcell Ozuna for the first month was hitting 100 as a batting average. There's just not much under the hood. And I fear for Pirates fans because they have got off to a decent start, but a decent start for them is 21-18. You're in a division where obviously the Cubs are crushing it. The Brewers exist. And even the Cardinals, who are going to be in full on, they're in full on rebuild mode, and they're 8 games over 500 as we sit here on the 9th of May. So it's like, as good as the Pirates have been, as good as the Pirates have said they've got off to a good start, it's in comparison to how crap they were before. So, 3 games over 500 to them is probably the equivalent of the Dodgers sleepwalk into the NL West. So I think the best thing they can do at the deadline is, if they are in a position to make a move, they seem to have decent pitchers coming off the pipeline, maybe trade one of them and just get some real help for that lineup, because O'Neal Cruz has looked good with the bat, but not in the field. I think Brian Reynolds is kind of meh. And then you're looking at the likes of Ryan O'Hearn, who can't really defend out in the outfield. You got Brandon Lau at second base, who looks good, but the rest of that infield, I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Obviously, Connor Griffin's looking decent. They could do with a better catcher. Joey Barton, Henry Davis, I don't think are the answer at this point. So I think they could do a lot more at the deadline. And I think if their best acquisition was Jared Jones, which is coming back, if I was a Pirates fan, I'd be like, well, what's the point? Anyway, that's the end of Boo's hot takes. Boo's going to now go back into slumber. We seem to only do one of these. We say it's episode 24. We have obviously 3 concurrent series. We have this series, which is our main episodes. We've got the weekly rounders roundup, and we've got the interview series. So we have done more than 24 episodes. This is just 24 of the official Brit Does Baseball Does podcast series. So can get a bit confusing, but who cares? It's our podcast. We've got a fun one today. Cal's going to be taking the ball by the horns for the main part of the episode, which we're going to be doing a little bit more expansion talk. But we're going to have a little bit of fun with it, but I won't spoil too much. We may actually have a halftime today. It's been a while since we've had one of those. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer episode today. We're going to do a bit of a divisional roundup and just kind of, look, we're around about 40 games in. So I'd say we're approaching 25% of the season now. Seems to have flown by, which is very devastating. But we're just going to discuss kind of who we think are the contenders and pretenders. So we'll go sort of division by division, quite quick fire. I'll quickly read out, who's in what position with the record. And then Cal and George will give their expert advice as to, who can you back maybe and who's probably going to fall away. And also who's in a slump and can turn it around. Because we're not too, we're still early enough in the season where the likes of the Giants, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Phillies that had a really, really bad start, they can still turn it around. If we were sitting here in August, no chance. But we're just in early May. Would we like to start with the National League or the American League?
National League, because I've got it up in front of me.
Wonderful. Do you know what? We'll get this one out of the way. We'll start with the NL West. Unsurprisingly, the Dodgers are sleepwalking again. They're 24-14, still a good record. They're in first place. The Padres are 2 games back with a record of 22-16. And then the Diamondbacks 17-20 in third place. The Rockies are not last. They have a record of 16-23. And Cal's San Francisco Giants are bottom of the division with a record of 15-23. Who's a pretender? Who's a contender? Cal, go.
I think the Giants are pretending to be awful. They will figure it out. We won't go too heavy in the Giants, but the Giants will get better. I think the Rockies are. I think this is kind of fun for that. This is a good spot. They're winning some games, like their last 10 is 3-7. I think that's progress. It's still bad, but it's progress. It's not a guaranteed loss every time you play the Rockies. That's fun. The Diamondbacks are so mediocre, I forget they exist. The Padres are, they've got a good team. They're winning games. Their last 10, they've won 3, lost 7. That feels a little bit false. I think they'll be a little bit more consistently in the win column than they have been recently. And fucking, yeah, they're great. Not the best record in baseball, the Dodgers, but yeah, they've won 24, they've lost 14. Who cares?
I think the NL West deserves to lose. George, anything, or should we go over to the East for your specialty subject?
Yeah, let's do that. I think I agree with Cal on the West. So yeah, we'll move to the East.
We'll move over to the East, which of course hosts George's team, the New York Mets. But we're going to be talking about them in about 30 seconds because leading the way are the Atlanta Braves with a record of 26 wins and 13 losses. I think they've got the highest divisional lead across all 6 divisions with 7 games, as in that's between first and second. In second place, which was on everyone's bingo cards this year, are the Washington Nationals with a record of 19-20. 2.5 games back from the Braves. In third place, after such a shit start, they have sort of turned it around recently. The Philadelphia Phillies, they currently sit 17-22 with the exact same record as the Miami Marlins, again on 17-22. And then bringing up the rear are Georgia's New York Mets with a record of 15-23, joint worst record in the National League, tied with the Giants. And both records are, there is one team with a worse record in the American League. So George, NL East, talk to us.
Yeah, the Braves are going to win this division, which I should have predicted. They have some kind of magic, some kind of evil magic that they can turn on and off. And last year was a down year. They will win this year. They'll probably make it to the NLCS where they'll lose to the Dodgers. That's my extremely long-range prediction. But the pitching looks good. The batting looks good. They look really good. It sucks. I think the Phillies will get back into a wild card position. And the Nationals and the Marlins will just kind of fall away or, back to where you'd expect them to be. But, if the Marlins could finish around 500, I think they'd be probably pretty happy with that. So it's not the end of the world for them. And the Mets are done. They're not a serious organization. We had a third game against the Rockies the other day, and they were platooning guys against Jose Quintana at Coors Field because they're scared of going lefty on lefty when we're 10.5 games back in the division. This isn't the time to platoon. when you've got young guys out there who have to hit against the lefty at some point. You can't protect them forever. Like Carson Bench has been like red hot for the past 2 weeks, and they've given him like 5 at bats the whole season against a lefty. It just doesn't make any sense. You're like 11 games back. What is there to lose? And they got beat in that game because they were starting guys like Andy Ibanez and Austin Slater and like guys you've never even heard of. So yeah, they're done for. But you know, that's fine.
I do quite like they're just not a serious organization. That's fun.
They can't be.
Yeah, I mean the Mets. I don't know. There's too much star power. Like Lindor is going to figure it out at some point. Soto is going to hit 1 million home runs at some point. Bichette's not going to be awful forever. Like there's enough to get back to around 500, I reckon. Yeah, I think the Nationals are overperforming a little bit. They were the one of the scarier teams I've watched this year play the Giants because they just kept hitting the fucking ball, man. It was really annoying, and it seems like that's what they've been doing. But Dom Smith and Mike Yastrzemski on the Braves makes me happy that they're doing well, so they deserve it.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything more to the NL East. Great quote for George there. We might sound clip that. The Mets are a joke of an organization for platooning guys 11 games back.
I love them. But they need to get out of their own way.
That's not making the clip, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'll quickly run through the NL Central. The Cubs are top, 27 wins, 12 losses. In their last 23 games, they are 20-3. Sorry, the last 23 games, they are 20 wins, 3 losses. They're not that good. They haven't magicked up 3 losses in 3 less games. The Cardinals are second, 23 wins, 15 losses. They are 3.5 games back. The Brewers, 20 wins, 16 losses. A little bit of a slow start, but they have played 3 less games than the Cubs. So that's probably partly why their record isn't as good. We mentioned the Pirates, they are 21-18. And the Cincinnati Reds, who have lost 8 games on the bounce, they still have an above 500 record. So they are 20-19. Just to put in perspective, the NL Central, which has probably been the best division across all of baseball, 4 teams would be top place of the AL Central and also the American League West. And the Cincinnati Reds, who are the bottom team, they would be second in both the NL East and third in the NL West. So it's been a really competitive division. As far as like contenders and pretenders, if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd have said the Reds were a bit of a pretender, and then they've gone and lost 8 on the bounce, so they've done that job for me. I think the Cardinals are a pretender. I don't know how they're doing it. Their pitching is terrible. It's obviously Jordan Walker has kind of turned it on, and he's been really good for him. It's nice to see because we all said the Cardinals said they were going to rebuild, sold everything. It's just nice to see them like actually go through on it. And I think the Cardinals is a pretender, and then I think the Cubs, the Brewers, and I'm going to put the Pirates in the bucket. I think they are contenders. I think they've got off to a really, really good start, the Pirates. And if they get Jared Jones back, that can probably get them another couple of wins. I fear for their lineup. The Brewers have Brewers Magic, Pat Murphy, Pocket Pancakes. There was a Pocket Turtle at some point earlier this year.
What?
Instead of Pocket Pancakes, they were playing the Royals, and Pat Murphy pulled out a Pocket Tortoise. He was like, "Oh, we called it Bobby after Bobby Witt Jr."
Why I feel like that's not safe.
No, so do I. I think he should be investigated by PETA, investigative authority over in America. And then lastly, the Cubs. Like I chat about them every week in the roundup, so I won't go into too much detail, but they are looking good. It's a real team effort. Michael Conforto, I was wrong. You are the best hitter in all of baseball, it seems, especially this week. We're running out of time. Should we quickly scan through the American League East, West, and Central? Because...
Yeah, just quickly, is the Miz has been playing in AAA to start the season for the Brewers. Is that right?
He might have been injured. No, he's been with the Brewers the whole year. He's looked quite good.
Okay, yeah, I just haven't seen much from him is all.
He had a game, I think he played the Yankees yesterday or the day before, and he had something like 12 pitches over 102 miles an hour. I think including one that was like 103.6. It's just ridiculous.
I love that weird looking man. He's so cool.
So long.
He's such a big man.
Okay, we'll quickly scan through the American League because there's only really one division worth talking about. We'll start with we'll end with that one. We'll start with the American League West. The Athletics are leading the division, 20 wins, 18 losses. The Mariners got off to one of their classic terrible starts, but they're now only a game and a half back. 19 wins, 20 losses. Rangers, 17 wins, 21 losses. They're in third place. The Astros, 16 and 23. And then the team with the worst record in all of baseball, the Los Angeles Angels, 15 wins, 24 losses. Sorry, Nico. For me on this one, the Mariners are probably they're in a position now to pounce. The Astros have obviously had a terrible start with all the injuries. Carlos Correa is now done for the season with an ankle injury, on top of their 16 pitcher injuries and 2 position players. Anything to add on this one, George?
No, I struggle to think who the contender's going to be. It's probably going to end up being the Mariners. They'll put it together, and the Rangers maybe. I'm surprised the Astros are trailing so much. I thought they had a good roster coming into the year, but yeah, it's a tough one to figure out. I think the Athletics will fall away at some point.
The Astros have just been very injured from what I've heard. I don't know. I like that the Athletics are doing well. It's a shame it's not in Oakland, but we've got to move on at some point. Fuck yeah, let's go the A's. Let's win some games.
Good for Sacramento. AL Central, I mean, if you could describe mid in a division, it would be the AL Central. The Guardians are leading it 21 and 19. Tigers just behind with the Royals 18 and 21. The Chicago White Sox are not last. They're 17 and 21. So they're only 3 games back from the division lead. Murakami, I think, has been kind of leading the charge there. And then the Minnesota Twins, again, not terrible, 16 and 23. A lot of us had them maybe having single-digit wins at this point. I think this division is the reason why there's an argument for division winners shouldn't be automatically guaranteed a playoff spot. Because, okay, the rest of the American League is terrible, but you look at the National League, and as I said, the National League Central trounces every single team in that division. And then there are, even like the Nationals with a 19 and 20 record, they'd be in second place. So it's like there will be a playoff team from this division. I don't see them going further than the wild card.
Yeah. I hear it. Yeah, there's just not much happening. Murakami's having a cool season, and that's fun.
And that sums up the division in one sentence. Just before halftime, quickly, the American League East, which has actually been quite a competitive division between one team that we probably didn't think would be competitive, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays. So the Yankees are first with 26 and 13. The Tampa Bay Rays are half a game back. They're on 25 wins, 13 losses, seemingly out of nowhere. They're 8 and 2 in the last 10. They're looking good. The Toronto Blue Jays, a similar position to the Mariners. Terrible start, injury bug, but they're starting to slowly turn it on. They're 17 and 21. The issue is they're at 8.5 games back at this point, so it's a bit of a mountain to climb. And then the Red Sox and the Orioles. We haven't really spoken about the Orioles because we don't really care about them. But obviously the Red Sox got off to a terrible start, sacked Alex Cora. They're both sitting with a record of 17 and 22. So I would have put money on the Red Sox being bottom of this division, but no, they're fourth. Yeah, I think probably the Rays are, where do you see the Rays finishing?
I'm really happy for the Rays. I think it's a really cool story. Like, guys like Junior Caminero, like young guys hitting really well. Like the pitching staff has looked good, but they've always been good at developing pitchers. I mean, I guess the worry is that they're just going to sell them all before the deadline if they get into a slump. But, they've kind of proven that they can be this talent incubator. If they can hold on and keep healthy and keep going like this, then it could be really fun. I'm happy for them. I think it'll be a cool story if they can keep this up for the whole year.
Yeah, I like the Rays. The Rays are fun. When we spoke to Grant in the off season, he was just kind of like, they're just like permanently rebuilding, and they like got rid of everybody, but the guys have got coming up are really fun, and clearly they're being given their chances, and it's quite nice. I didn't know that the Orioles were doing as poorly as they are. I know Pete Alonso's had a fucking shocking start to the season, but yeah, I didn't realize that they were the bottom team now, and the Red Sox have gone over them, because I feel like I've heard a lot about the Red Sox not being very good, But I haven't heard much about the O's not being very good. So that's interesting to see.
Yeah, run differential, baby. We're going to pause there for our first halftime in what seems like a month. When we come back, expansion talk, and we're going to compete to see who's got the worst roster. But more on that after the break.
Hello and welcome back. I hope you had a nice break. Did you guys enjoy yourself? Feeling rested?
Yes.
It's been hours. I feel too rested, if anything.
I had a sleep, had a little bit of orange. Kitman came in, changed my boots. I'm ready for the second half. So we were talking recently about just kind of what an expansion in the MLB would look like and how it would kind of work. And we thought we might play a fun little game where we have come up with our own team. So we've assigned a team to a location and we've given them a name and everything. There are some rules. So only one player per team may be selected. AAA players or bench players are permitted, but the players may not be ranked in the MLB Top 100 prospects list. You must draft a starting lineup, so 1 to 9 with a DH, 3 starting pitchers, 2 relief pitchers. You are allowed 1 player over the age of 34 as a veteran, but ideally they won't be the best player on that team. You know, I don't know how old Kyle Schwarber is, but the Phillies wouldn't give him to you. So with that in mind, you guys ready?
Yeah.
This is going to
I'm
be
now worried I've misunderstood the rules, but we'll see as we go through.
This is going to be terrible. This is going to be terrible. So just to these are like our expansion rosters. Is that what we're saying? Like we can nick players from other organizations?
Yes. So 1 player per team, and then it's got to be a vaguely realistic player that they're going to be willing to give up. So bench players or AAA players, just not in the everyday starting lineup for their respective teams.
I've got to quickly go and let Boo into the room. So if one of you wants to kick off, I'll be back in 1 second.
All right. Well, George, you said that you think you might have done this wrong. So
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off, and then we can decide whether or not I've done it wrong.
Okay.
We can find that out together. I looked through all the prospect lists based on the rules, and realized that I don't know a lot of the prospects that aren't on the top 100 list. So instead, I decided to go completely the other direction. And I've put together a team of entirely over 30 players, like a one last ride team. Like if this team doesn't win immediately, then they're not going to win at all. So I've called them the Montreal Old Spos instead of the Expos.
Good.
Bringing baseball back to Montreal where it belongs. At catcher, I've got Luis Torrens, who is just 30. The Mets did just give him a brief extension, but I think he's probably the best backup catcher in baseball at the moment, or one of the best backup catchers in baseball. So I'm going to go for that, and I had to have a Mets person. At first, I've got Paul Goldschmidt. Ben Rice is clearly the future of the Yankees at first base. So yeah, I'll take Paul Goldschmidt. One last ride for him. DJ LeMahieu is currently a free agent. He is coaching college ball while he waits for somebody to pick him up. He is not retired. He is officially available for selection. So we'll take him to play second. At third, I'm so sure the Rockies would take this because they're desperate to get rid of his contract. I'm going to take Chris Bryant. He'll never play because he's always on the IL. But, you know, a bit of star power. We'll sell some tickets. That's fine. At shortstop, this is a meaningful one for Brit Does Baseball. Andrelton Simmons, who we used as the decider of who picked first in our home runs draft, is still playing down in the Mexican League. He plays for the Dorados de Chihuahua at 39 years old. So we'll take him. And also, when I was looking this up, MLB ranked him as the second best shortstop of the 2010s. I didn't know that. He was a legit player. So I'm sure he's still got something in him. Like a 39-year-old shortstop, that's gonna be cinema. Nick Castellanos from the Padres, will take him to play right field. He's not starting every day, so I'm sure they'll be fine to give him up. And then Gaz, I'm really sorry, but I will take Michael Conforto to play center field.
You can take him. That's fine.
Okay, thanks. I know he's been raking this year, so I thought you might be upset about that, but he's not starting every day.
He started to start a little bit more recently because he's found his bat this week, but I suspect by next week we probably see him like once.
This is the oldest team I've ever heard in my life, by the way. You have to do the maths after and find out the combined age of this team. If it's under 500, I'll be amazed.
It might be 1,000. It really might be. If we can have an OPS higher than our total age, then we'd be set. This is where it gets really rough. I mean, Nick Castellanos is rough, but I'll take Rob Refsnyder to play left. He has been horrendous this year, but again, there's got to be some life left in him. I think the thing is, if you get all these guys on a team, they're going to be really excited to play like old man baseball. So I'm kind of banking on the fact that they'd get into it and they'd all just kind of, a rising tide and all that. And then at DH, I had to check that he was still playing, but Starling Marte is on the Royals. He had a great few years for the Mets. Instagram alone just really kind of carried us through. He's got a great Instagram if you don't know. So he can make content, again, ticket sales, he'll get people through the door. So that's the lineup. And then for my actual starter over 34, for my starting pitcher, I'm taking Jacob deGrom from the Rangers. I love him as a Mets fan. I couldn't resist this. He's been really good to start this year as well. So if he can stay healthy, then I feel like that's a good pick because the pitchers were really tough. And then for the second and third starter, this is probably the worst part of the roster. I'm going to run back the 2023 Mets and I'm going to take Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. It didn't work the last time. They apparently really didn't get on when they tried that in 2023, but maybe it'll work out this time.
This has to be 700 years combined age and service time, I think.
They're crafty. They know all the tricks of the trade. They're gonna figure it out. All of the cliches. I'm gonna sign Dickie Lovelady to a mega contract in the bullpen.
What a name!
Mostly so that David Stearns and the Mets can't sign him for like the fourth time in 2 seasons if he's on a big contract. That prevents that. And then finally, I didn't again know if he was still playing, but Kenley Jansen is pitching for the Royals. He played, obviously like 11 years with the Dodgers, was like an elite closer. So he hasn't been great this year, but again, we'll take him. So that's my team. I think we'll do really well in our first year, and then it's going to go downhill.
Yeah, there's zero longevity in this team. You're making it a year, and then it's just whoever you drafted.
Yeah. We can flip them. We'll flip them for prospects.
I'd be amazed how many like organizations, because I've never thought about it this way, but when you said you're going to get Dickie Lovelady in your team just to prevent the Mets from signing him, do you think teams actually do that? Do you think like, we'll give this player like $2 million and he's worth literally like league minimum because we know no one's going to touch that contract?
Yeah. It's a good strategy. It really is. If teams aren't doing it, they should consider it because there are guys that are just kind of foundational that end up, just going elsewhere.
Yeah, great team. Combined age of, we'll do the maths. It's got to be at least 500, I think.
At least. But I'm unsure if I understood the rules.
No,
around
I think
the ages of the players, but yeah.
I think you understood. You just chose to draft the oldest team imaginable.
They'll get it done. I believe in them.
So if the average age of all of your players, the average age needs to be 35.7 years old for it to reach 500 years. And I think Luis Torrens is your youngest with 30, but then Verlander's what, 43?
Yeah, something like that. And I think Kenley Jansen's up there.
39-year-old shortstop as well. That'll bump it up a bit.
Scherzer as well. Yeah.
He's 60.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right.
60 ERA this year, yeah.
The Montreal Old Spurs is every dad's new favorite team because it's all the guys that I feel like older dudes are like, why don't they just sign this guy? He'll fix it. Hell yeah. Gaz, do you want to go next or do you want me to go?
I can go because I think I understood different rules to George. So
Right.
George picked a load of bench players from MLB, which was completely fair. But I decided to ignore that and just pick players that are in AAA.
There's more longevity there, I reckon.
Yeah, that's really not in some cases. So my catcher, who's my veteran, I've gone for Salvador Perez from the Royals. He's over the age of 34. He's 35. He's like my anchor, and he's probably the only one in this team that can hit meaningful home runs. At first base, I've gone for Michael Toglia from the Reds, who a couple of years ago I think he got 30 home runs for the Rockies a couple of years ago. I was really high on him, and then he was really crap last year. And now he's back in AAA. So I've gone him. Trey Lipscomb from the Nationals, second base. I've heard of the name. I think he was in the World Baseball Classic. Still young enough to be considered. I think we spoke about this a while ago, where it was like could potentially be a thing, but that was a while ago. At third base, Charles McAdoo from the Blue Jays. He's a prospect. He's not in the top 100, and he's got decent stats. And I've heard of him because I watched just like one episode of it's like a Blue Jays did like a YouTube series, and it was like discussing prospects. And they were like, yeah, this Charles McAdoo guy is lit. So great name. He's playing third, and he's not on the top 100 prospect list. I've gone a bit cheeky with this one. Anthony Volpe is at shortstop. As we discussed, he's currently in AAA. So
I dig it.
Volpe,
it's cheeky, and I like it.
Anthony Volpe makes his team. The outfield, I've gone for Jackenzie Noel, Big Christmas, who's currently on the Orioles roster. He got passed around like past the parcel, and I think he actually ended up on 4 different teams on the off season. He started on the Guardians, was on the Pirates. I think he went somewhere else and then ended up on the Orioles. Like he was traded like 4 times. So that kind of longevity with a team, plenty of different experiences. He's playing left field. Center field, I've gone for the Jaguar, Kevin Alcantara for the Cubs. Probably we've discussed, I think Cal, you've discussed previously where we've got like quadruple A players where they're too good for AAA but not good enough for the MLB. That's what Kevin Alcantara is. It'd be interesting next year when Suzuki and Happ go if they like him. But they obviously traded away Owen Casey and not him for a reason. Right field, an old friend of mine, Mike Tauchman, currently on the injured list for the New York Mets, but he would have been in AAA technically because Carson Benj got the nod. He's the only injured player I've got on this list. Everyone else is actively playing. And at DH, I've gone for Nelson Velasquez, ex-Cub, currently on the Cardinals AAA roster. And the sole reason is he once hit a grand slam against the Mariners in 2023 for us to win the game and come from behind. And he's got massive fucking fires. So Nelson Velasquez is the DH.
I dig it.
The rotation and relievers, it's one of them where we're going to score more runs than the other team because this team is not great for that. Another cheeky one, Lucas Giolito for the Padres, who's recently signed, is not on the active roster. So he's probably my starting pitcher, which isn't terrible. It could have been a lot worse. Then the struggles came. Braxton Garrett for the Marlins is currently in AAA. I've heard he's had a couple of good years at some point, and I recognize the name. And then one which both of you will be familiar with, Blade Tidwell.
Oh shit!
Currently with the Giants is a starting pitcher in AAA, and from what I've heard, isn't shit. So
he's all right.
He's all right. Yeah.
So it's not really a 1-2 punch. It's more of a slap to the face, maybe. Relief pitchers, yeah, we're not holding any leads. Julian Merriweather for the Twins is in AAA. He was really good for the Cubs in 24, and he was terrible last year. And I think he was on the Mets at some point. I might be wrong.
That might have passed me by.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not been very good since, and that's probably why he's still in AAA. But he was my first reliever where I gave a nickname because King Julian from Madagascar. So Julian Merriweather is my closer by the looks of it. And then for the Rockies, I've taken Seth Halverson, who is currently in AAA, and I believe he logged a few saves last year for the team that won however many games, like 40. He's got a 0 ERA this year so far. I think he's being optioned up and down. He last pitched against the Mets on the 26th of April. And I'm just going to see how many career saves does he have.
That would have been a win.
It was. Yeah. Okay, I'm completely wrong. He has no saves. No, sorry, this game started. Saves. Okay, he had 11 saves last year for the Colorado Rockies, pitching to a 4.99 ERA. So not great, but yeah, well, yeah, why not? He can be my. He's going to be my setup man, and my team name. We always talk about baseball over in America, and they want to, expand to new territories like Utah or Nashville. They never think of Alaska, and I don't know why. Anchorage is right there. It's got to be on a parallel to Toronto. Nice indoor stadium, maybe. And then I was torn between the team names. So originally it was the Alaska Moose because moose is the national animal of Alaska, according to Wikipedia. But obviously you associate with moose with more Canada. So I've changed them to the Alaska Anchors, and that's because they're going to play in Anchorage because that's the only place in Alaska with a population more than 12. So the Alaska Anchors, made up completely of AAA players coming back from injury, and big Salvador Perez behind the plate.
Hell yeah, dude. I don't know. I think you might win a couple more games than you think. Not many more games than you think, but more than 9.
Yeah.
I'd love it if this team could get to double digits. I feel like Anthony Volpe should maybe end up just being the DH because he'll lead to a few more errors. Maybe Ellie De La Cruz fancies a trip up to Alaska.
That's if the Reds
yeah. You just need one of those guys to turn out to be really good, right? If one of them, that breeds a culture, and then you've got something going.
Absolutely. All right. So I've thought about this. There's lineup construction going on here. So I've got a mixture of younger guys, a few guys in AAA, largely MLB bench players and rotation guys. But you're either 24 or 31 in this team, with the exception of one player over the age of 34. So my team, the Portland, Oregon, full name to avoid confusion and embarrassment, 99ers, because I couldn't think of a name that I liked enough. I was looking at birds native to Portland, and bush tit came up, and that was a close contender, but I didn't think we'd sell many bush tits t-shirts to children, perhaps. So, catching, currently on a rehab assignment in which he had a multi-home run game. He's 24 years old, hitting .478 in the big leagues with 5 RBIs in 11 games played. How Daniel Susac is not the starting catcher for the Giants, I don't know, but that makes him eligible for the 99ers. So Daniel Susac catching. First base, this is where we get a little bit more experience. Ty France on the San Diego Padres, 21 games played, hitting .276 with 10 RBIs. Second base, with all due respect to this man, I've never heard of him, but I went on minor league baseball stats and sorted by home runs, I think. Orlando Arcia in the Twins AAA system, 31 years old, 8 home runs, 24 RBIs, and hitting .310.
Ex-Braves. He was kind of like, you had Olsen at first, Albies at second, Riley at third, and we're like, oh, who's that other guy in the infield? And it was Orlando Arcia. But couldn't hit. But yeah, ex-Braves.
Couldn't hit, but hopefully he does in Portland. Shortstop. In the offseason, I'd seen that he signed with the Blue Jays, But turns out this is our only Dodgers representation across all of the teams. He's yet to play this season, but 28-year-old Tyler Fitzgerald is going to bring some speed to this team. I wish I had some stats. He hasn't played. He's played for 2 teams, but 0 games. Not even in AAA. They're just not letting Tyler play, which is a shame. Third base is where I've been a little bit cheeky, I think, because technically Ahmed Rosario hasn't played as many games as Ryan McMahon at third. So
I looked at the same thing. Yeah.
So 30-year-old Ahmed Rosario with 14 RBIs, 4 home runs, hitting .262 in 23 games played from the New York Yankees is going to be my starting third baseman. In left field, I apologize. I've gone off of stats and age here. Alejandro Osuna for the Texas Rangers, 23 years old, 2 RBIs, 0 home runs, hitting .227 in 13 games in the major leagues. He's young. He's all right. He's got time to figure it out. In center field, I also had Kevin Alcantara, where he's 23 years old, hit 26 RBIs, 12 home runs in AAA. It feels good. I feel like you'll see him in the majors this year.
I hope so. It's now or never, really.
Mm-hmm.
Dog, he's 23.
Yeah, but
got 10 years.
No, but like as I said before we recorded, we got him from I think he's from the Dominican Republic, so we probably signed him when he was 15 for like $200,000 million, and if he was like world class, he'd have broken through by now. So right. I'm like, are they just holding him there? I think he's had a little bit of service time already. I don't know how the option years work, but sorry, we can get into this on another one. Good pick though.
I don't know. The stats it was silly to me that he's not in the major league team, but then I saw it was on the Cubs and I was like, that's probably why.
Yeah, we are quite stacked in the outfield.
Right field, Arizona Diamondbacks, 23-year-old Jordan Lawler, 2 RBIs, 1 home run, hitting .333 in 6 games played. I've heard the name before, but he's 23 and like on the major league team rather than AAA. So that was a good sign to me. So he's going to start him right. DH, again, 24 years old. He is a catcher by trade. Is St. Louis Cardinals' Jimmy Crooks, who is hit 11 home runs, 25 RBIs, and 263 average in 99 at-bats in AAA this season. Seemed pretty good to me. The rotation is where the team falls apart. It was difficult, I think, for all of us there. And if you're playing along at home, in which I encourage you to, please let us know if you could think of anybody better. The ace of this team is Justin Verlander. I feel like he's bringing the experience and average age up a little bit, as well as the probably average ERA. I've got Trey Gibson from the Baltimore Orioles, 23 years old, so he fits in with my future first kind of scheme there. He has a 5.4 ERA and 4 strikeouts on the season. It's not great. It's not even good. But he's young. He's got time to figure it out, and it feels like the Orioles could let him go. Then I've got free agent Taijuan Walker.
I completely forgot about Taijuan Walker. Yeah,
probably for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also not very good, but has pitched in the major leagues before. I was looking at some minor league pitchers. I was looking at before I picked Daniel Susak, I was looking at like Carson Wisenhunt from the Giants, like a guy that's pitched in the majors, is kind of very good in AAA at the moment. It would probably be a better pick, but I thought, he's comfortable on the grand stage in Portland, Oregon. My first relief pitcher, Jordan Hicks on the Chicago White Sox, has only pitched 14.2 innings this season.
Is he still on a team?
Yeah, he's still going. 9 strikeouts, 1 save, 3.68 ERA. That sounded like a relief pitcher to me.
It's good
and
for him.
our second relief pitcher is a guy called Brian Baker on the Rays, 31 years old, also 14.2 innings pitched, 16 strikeouts, 9 saves, and a 2.46 ERA. I don't know. I reckon that we'll be competitive late into the games and then ultimately lose.
I think if you can get like 6 innings out of your starter, you're probably locking down the final 3 innings for those 2 picks.
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's not
but
bad.
that would be if you were playing once a week. I reckon.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's still 162 games, and there's, I think the youth of the team is good because younger guys tend to be made of magic and rubber, as Chris Ford would say. So I think we're going to be all right injuries-wise. I'm a little bit worried about Ty France and Ahmed Rosario, but they're not too old where I'm that concerned, but old enough to bring some leadership. So that's where we are. Let us know your teams in the comments or DM us. It'd be cool to see who you guys would pick. Is there anybody that, like, in hindsight, you guys would want in your team?
Half of your picks.
When I was putting this together before I landed on just picking old guys, I was like, do I take Dalton Rushing from the Dodgers? Because technically Will Smith is like the starting catcher. And I was like, no, he's such a prick. I don't want him.
Such a wanker. He's so unlikable.
Yeah.
I think we put a post up about Dalton Rushing, I think, maybe a week or so ago. And it was really nice to see a whole comment section so unified on being like, this guy is a fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good way to bring baseball together.
There was no arguments. Everyone was having a good time, just being like, fuck this guy.
I think that brings us to the start bench cut, which I'm now realizing, and I probably shouldn't admit this. I didn't ask anyone to prepare a start bench cut. Neither did anyone agree as to what start bench cut they're doing. So I will make them up on the fly. So we'll start with a baseball one, and I guess. Sorry. Oh no, I do remember the name of your team. So we'll go with the theme of the episode, and this is like a location where you can play baseball, and Major League Baseball. So the 3 options are Alaska, Portland, Oregon, and Montreal. So what would you start? What would you bench? What would you cut? Yes, play a one-off Major League game there. Can be the most beautiful, picturesque stadium you can think of. And weather permitting, the weather's going to be fine. George, do you want to go first?
I not just because it was the city I chose, but I'd start Montreal just because the fans there are crazy. Like, there's already a good base of support there, and it just seems like a nice city, a nice way of life. I'm not good with the cold, so I'm going to bench Portland and I'm going to cut Alaska. I don't do cold. I don't thrive. So that would be where I go.
That's hurtful to the Alaskan Anchors. This franchise, you're never welcome in Anchorage. Cal, what about
That's
you?
fine by me.
I'm going the same. If it's a one-off game, I think in Montreal would be good. I would like an expansion team in Portland, Oregon, but that's over a season. So one-off game, we're going to go Montreal. I'm going to bench Portland. And who the fuck wants to go and watch baseball in Alaska?
They've never been given the opportunity, okay?
For a reason, man. It's not even attached to the US. You got to go through Canada to get there.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with this. I'm going to start Alaska for a one-off game. You see how beautiful Alaska is, right? Just playing like one game in the summer of Alaska, snow-capped mountains in the background, polar bears and moose in the outfield.
Yeah, but it's summer, man. You don't want ice for a baseball game.
Yeah, but not on the field. It's fine outside the stadium. It could be like you could have like the stands in domes as well. So that's heated.
Mm.
And it's just like a glass dome. Yeah, but remember the Simpsons movie where he just put some massive dome over it?
You're playing snow globe baseball is what
Yeah,
you
slow glow baseball in Alaska. I'm starting it. Close second, actually. I'm benching Montreal for the same reason that George said. Those fans would absolutely love it. I'd feel a bit bad just playing a one-off game, and the fans would love it, and then be like, "Oh, psych, yeah, we're only here for an exhibition." And then back down we go. And I'm going to cut Portland, Oregon again, just because I think Alaska and Montreal would be more fun for a one-off game. But I think that wasn't a bad start bench cut off the fly. This second one's going to be even worse. Non-baseball one related. The concept. We've never really gone like altruistic thinking with start bench cut. So the concept of starting, benching, and cutting is what I want you to start bench cut. So you're in a. I don't know. Like, are you happy to have the pressure of starting a game? Are you happy to be on the bench and maybe come on, or are you happy being cut and drinking in the stands and enjoying it instead? So the concept of a start, the concept of a bench, the concept of a cut. Cal, what are you start bench cutting for a start bench cut?
I am gonna start the concept of benching someone because I feel like you get to have a little bit more of a conversation with someone. If we're thinking about you've got 11 people for your baseball team, but you can only play 9, so you have to bench one, you have to cut one person, you have to send them home. I'd rather have the conversation with the bench guy and be like, listen, you're still going to get some game time. We're going to bring you on. It's going to be okay. We're not going to start you. And like, these are the reasons. Maybe you can spend a bit more time working with them in the cages. Maybe you can talk a little bit about like, clearly something's bothering you. What's up? There's a little bit more of a personal connection that you have when you're telling somebody that you're benching them. I'm going to bench the start because a lot of the times you read in the lineup is just, all right, at first base, guys, clap, clap, whatever. We're just rattling through it. It's not very personal, but ultimately you're making most people happy. And I'm cutting because nobody wants to be cut. Nobody wants to tell someone they're being cut. That's sad. So that's getting cut is getting cut.
George, where are you at?
I don't want to just do the same, but I'm definitely going to start benching because they say a different sport, but they say the best job in the world is being a backup quarterback because there's no pressure and you get a lot of money and you get to be in the nice rooms. So I imagine the same is probably true of like a low leverage reliever who doesn't pitch too often. So I'm going to start benching, and then just for variety, I'll bench cutting because, you know, it's a new start. You could go to a new city. You could learn new things, you know, maybe end up in one of those minor league cities. That sounds nice. And then I'll cut starting because, you know, who wants the pressure, right? Who can thrive under that?
Hell yeah.
I'm going to completely tear it up. I'm going to start cutting because you could be cutting a guy, right? Let's talk about Anthony Rizzo last year when he was basically cut from the Yankees because they didn't want him, and then he retired. Well, what's the first thing he did when he officially retired? He went to the Cubs game in the bleachers and got the longest cup snake possible taken away from him by the stewards. So I'm going to start the cut because if you're at a certain point in your career, you're like, do you know what? Fuck it, I've had enough. Similar to when we had the interview with Jesse from the Portland Sea Dogs, and he was talking to us about the catcher who became the bullpen catcher for the Red Sox. He just retired mid-game. He was like, he obviously in his head, he was like, and he started the year for them quite well, and he was probably, I think he was like 27, 28, so the odds of him getting to the Red Sox as a player was minimal. Like, you would have needed a couple of injuries. And he just went, you know what? I'm fine. I'll retire and I'll go be part of the big league staff. So he has made it to the big leagues, which is completely admirable. So I'm going to start the cut. I'm going to bench the bench because it just feels right. You know, you can relax. You can do a Nick Castellanos and bring a cold one into the dugout, and then get shouted at by your manager and kicked at and basically cut from Philadelphia for it. I don't mind that. That's a bit of fun. I'm going to cut the start because if I'm a major league player, like, I can't deal with that pressure. Similar to what George says, it's like, it's too much pressure. I don't want to start. Let the other guys do it. When we win, I'll come on and cheer. And, you might need me to pitch and clean up. I'll do that. I'm your guy. So yeah, start, cut, bench, cut, start. That works.
Good.
I think what have we learned today is that we will post the average age of George's team when we work it out.
Yes.
So what we've learned is George is like win now or don't bother. Gaz is AAA or bust, and Cal is you have to be either 24 or 31, otherwise you're not welcome in my team.
Yes.
And we've also learned we should prep a start bench cut properly before we come on an episode. This has been a Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. You've been brilliant. George has been George. Cal's been Cal. Gaz has been Gaz. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you. Goodbye. And go Cubs, go.
Love you.